It's time to rebuild yourself, not because you are broken, but because you have outgrown the version of you that got you here. Life has a way of stripping away comfort, exposing weaknesses, and forcing reflection. What feels like collapse is often preparation. Rebuilding is not about going back to who you were, it's about deciding who you are becoming and having the courage to construct that identity with intention. Rebuilding begins with honesty. You stop pretending things are fine when they are not. You stop blaming circumstances and start owning choices. This honesty is uncomfortable, but it is necessary. You cannot rebuild on denial. You rebuild on truth. Truth gives you clarity, and clarity gives you direction. When you face reality fully, you gain the power to change it. Rebuilding also requires letting go. Old habits, old excuses, old narratives about who you are and what you deserve must be released. Carrying them forward only recreates the same results. Letting go is not weakness, it is strength. It is choosing growth over familiarity. It is deciding that comfort will no longer cost you your future. Discipline becomes the backbone of rebuilding. Motivation will come and go, but discipline stays. You show up on the days you don't feel like it. You keep promises to yourself when no one is watching. Each small act of discipline lays another brick in the foundation of the new you. These bricks may seem insignificant at first, but over time they create something unbreakable. Rebuilding yourself also means rebuilding how you think. You challenge limiting beliefs. You stop identifying with past failures. You train your mind to focus on progress instead of perfection. Every thought is either reinforcing the old structure or supporting the new one. Choose carefully, because thoughts become actions and actions become identity. There will be moments when rebuilding feels lonely. Growth often is. Not everyone will understand your changes. Some will resist them. That resistance is not a signal to stop. It is confirmation that you are evolving. You are no longer living for approval. You are living with purpose. Purpose gives you strength when support is scarce. Rebuilding demands patience. Transformation does not happen overnight. Progress may feel slow, but consistency compounds. Each day you choose effort over excuses, you move forward. Each day you refuse to quit, you grow stronger. The days that test you the most are the ones shaping you the deepest. This process also requires self-respect. You raise your standards. You no longer accept what drains you. You protect your time, your energy, and your focus. Self-respect changes how you speak to yourself and how you allow others to treat you. It reinforces the identity you are building. Rebuilding yourself is an act of courage. It means standing in uncertainty and choosing growth anyway. It means trusting that the work you are doing now will create a future you cannot yet see. That trust fuels persistence. Persistence turns effort into results. It's time to rebuild yourself, because the next chapter of your life demands a stronger foundation. You are not starting from nothing. You are starting from experience. Use it. Build with intention. Stay committed. The version of you that rises from this process will be more disciplined, more focused, and more powerful than ever before. Rebuilding yourself is not an admission of failure, weakness, or damage. It is a declaration of growth. Too many people believe that rebuilding means something went wrong, that they are broken, behind, or less than. That belief alone keeps people trapped in shame, hesitation, and fear of change. The truth is far more powerful. Rebuilding yourself means you have outgrown who you were. It means your current identity can no longer hold the vision you feel pulling you forward. Growth demands expansion, and expansion always requires reconstruction. Every phase of life comes with a version of you that was perfectly designed for that moment. The mindset, habits, coping mechanisms, and beliefs you once had helped you survive, learn, and move forward at that time. But survival is not the same as thriving. What got you here will not get you where you are meant to go next. Rebuilding is not about erasing your past. It is about honoring it while refusing to be limited by it. You are not tearing yourself down, you are upgrading. Growth often feels uncomfortable because it requires letting go of familiar patterns, even when those patterns no longer serve you. Familiar pain can feel safer than unfamiliar possibility. That is why many people cling to old versions of themselves long after those versions have expired. Rebuilding asks you to release identities that no longer fit, the habits that once protected you, the beliefs that once made sense, the roles you played to survive environments that no longer exist. This is not self-rejection. This is self-respect. When you rebuild from a place of growth, you stop asking, "What's wrong with me?" and start asking, "Who do I need to become next?" That shift changes everything. You stop operating from guilt and start moving with intention. You stop trying to patch flaws and start designing a future. Growth-driven rebuilding is proactive, not reactive. It is not about fixing damage, it is about expanding capacity. Rebuilding through growth means taking ownership without self-judgment. You acknowledge where you are without attacking yourself for how you got there. You recognize your patterns without labeling yourself as weak. You see your limitations without turning them into permanent identities. Growth-oriented rebuilding is grounded in honesty and compassion. You cannot hate yourself into a better version. You grow by aligning your actions with who you are becoming, not by punishing who you used to be. This process requires courage because growth removes excuses. When you stop seeing yourself as broken, you also stop waiting for rescue. You realize that nothing outside of you needs to change first. You do not need permission, validation, or a perfect moment. Growth calls you to act now with what you have from where you are. Rebuilding becomes a choice, not a reaction to collapse. There will be moments when rebuilding feels like loss. You may outgrow relationships, routines, environments, and even dreams that once felt right. This does not mean you failed, it means you evolved. Growth replaces what no longer aligns, even when the replacement has not fully appeared yet. That in-between space can feel uncertain, but it is also where transformation happens. Rebuilding requires trusting that clarity follows commitment, not the other way around. When you rebuild from growth, you stop trying to return to who you were before setbacks, pain, or struggle. You aim higher. You aim forward. You recognize that every challenge has refined you, strengthened you, and revealed areas that needed expansion. Growth uses. Adversity as raw material. Nothing is wasted unless you refuse to learn from it. Rebuilding yourself through growth also means raising your standards, not from arrogance, but from awareness. You begin to protect your time, your energy, and your focus because you understand their value. You stop tolerating what drains you and start choosing what develops you. This is not selfishness, it is alignment. Growth demands boundaries, and rebuilding reinforces them. At its core, rebuilding is an act of faith in your future self. It is the belief that who you are becoming deserves more discipline, more clarity, and more intentional action. You stop trying to fix yesterday and start building tomorrow. You stop identifying with your limitations and start identifying with your potential. That shift changes how you speak, how you decide, and how you show up when things get difficult. Rebuilding yourself is not about becoming someone else. It is about becoming more of who you truly are, without the weight of outdated beliefs, unhealed habits, and borrowed expectations. Growth strips away what is unnecessary and strengthens what remains. It is not destruction, it is refinement. You are not broken, you are becoming. And rebuilding is simply the evidence that you refuse to stay smaller than your potential. Honest self-reflection creates clarity and direction for transformation because without it, growth becomes random and unfocused. Many people want change, but few take the time to look deeply at themselves and their lives. They seek improvement through external solutions, new jobs, new relationships, new habits, without first understanding the inner forces shaping their decisions. Self-reflection is the process of turning inward, examining your thoughts, actions, patterns, and motivations with brutal honesty. It is uncomfortable because it removes excuses, illusions, and the soothin' narratives we tell ourselves, but it is essential because clarity cannot exist without truth. Honest self-reflection begins by asking questions that matter. What behaviors are keeping you stuck? Where have you been compromising your values? Which habits, attitudes, or beliefs are no longer serving your goals? This questioning is not about judgment or self-criticism, it is about illumination. Each answer sheds light on what needs to change. The process allows you to see your life as it is, rather than as you wish it were. That awareness is the foundation for transformation because you cannot navigate toward a destination you cannot see. Clarity comes from recognizing patterns over time. When you reflect honestly, you notice repeated mistakes, triggers, and choices that do not align with your long-term vision. You see how procrastination, fear, or self-doubt influences decisions. You notice the situations, people, and environments that drain you or limit your potential. Patterns that previously felt random become visible. This insight is powerful because it reveals the areas that demand attention. Without this insight, effort is scattered and transformation stalls. Direction is born from clarity. Once you understand the forces shaping your present, you can chart a deliberate path forward. Self-reflection allows you to prioritize actions that matter most, rather than reacting impulsively to circumstances. You begin to identify the behaviors to amplify and the habits to eliminate. You no longer follow every opportunity or distraction. You follow a path that aligns with your values, goals, and potential. Transformation becomes intentional instead of accidental. Reflection also strengthens self-awareness. You become aware of your strengths, weaknesses, and tendencies. This awareness prevents overestimation of your abilities and underestimation of challenges. It allows to leverage strengths while actively improving weaknesses. Self-awareness creates confidence because you understand your limits, yet you also see where you can grow. This balanced perspective keeps ambition grounded in reality and prevents frustration caused by misaligned expectations. Another critical aspect of honest self-reflection is accountability. When you look at yourself objectively, you stop blaming external circumstances for your current state. You recognize where your choices, even the small daily ones, have shaped your outcomes. Accountability fuels empowerment because it transfers responsibility from external forces to yourself. When you accept full ownership of your life, every action becomes meaningful. You no longer wait for conditions to be perfect. You act because you are committed to your vision. Self-reflection also uncovers emotional patterns. You notice how fear, anger, or impatience has influenced your reactions. You observe where avoidance or denial has slowed your progress. Emotional clarity allows you to respond intentionally rather than react impulsively. Transformation depends not only on changing behavior, but also on regulating emotion. Understanding how you think and feel provides the tools to reshape both your inner and outer world. Consistency in self-reflection strengthens its impact. It is not enough to reflect once or occasionally. Transformation requires regular assessment of your actions and mindset. Daily or weekly reflection ensures that clarity is maintained and adjustments are made in real time. This iterative process creates momentum as each reflection informs the next set of choices. Progress becomes measurable and deliberate rather than haphazard and dependent on fleeting motivation. Finally, honest self-reflection builds resilience. When you see the truth of your circumstances and patterns without sugarcoating or denial, you become less dependent on external validation or comfort. Challenges are interpreted as data, not as judgment. Setbacks are understood as feedback, not failure. This mindset creates the mental fortitude necessary to persist through discomfort and uncertainty, which is essential for meaningful transformation. In essence, honest self-reflection is the compass of change. It illuminates where you are, identifies what needs to evolve, and guides you toward a clear, actionable path. Without it, you may work harder but not smarter, move faster but not forward. Transformation begins when you confront reality honestly, extract lessons from your experiences, and commit to intentional action based on that insight. Self-reflection is not a one-time exercise. It is a daily practice that creates clarity, direction, and the foundation for lasting growth. Letting go of old habits and identities is necessary for real change because transformation is impossible without creating space for new ways of being. Habits are the invisible architecture of daily life. They shape thoughts, behaviors, and outcomes. Identities, the beliefs and narratives we carry about who we are, anchor these habits and give them meaning. When habits and identities no longer serve your growth, they become the chains that hold you in place. True change requires consciously releasing them, even when doing so feels uncomfortable, uncertain, or painful. Old habits often persist because they provide familiarity and a false sense of control. They are routines that once worked or felt safe, and the mind naturally resists giving them up. Procrastination may have protected you from risk. Avoidance may have shielded you from discomfort. Negative thinking may have been a misguided way to anticipate problems. Letting go does not mean these habits were wrong. They were useful at one point, but it does mean they are no longer aligned with who you want to become. Recognizing this is the first step toward creating meaningful change. Identities are even more powerful than habits. They are the stories you tell yourself about what is possible, who you are, and what you deserve. These stories shape your decisions, your resilience, and your relationships. If your identity is rooted in limitation, I am not disciplined, I am unlucky, I can't handle pressure, no amount of external effort will lead to lasting change. To rebuild yourself, you must question and release these limiting identities, replacing them with narratives that support your growth and align with your potential. Letting go is uncomfortable because it challenges familiarity. The mind fears the unknown, and old habits feel like a security blanket. Change requires stepping into uncertainty, where outcomes are not guaranteed and comfort is absent. This fear is normal. The difference between temporary discomfort and lasting transformation is the willingness to act despite fear. Every time you release a habit or old identity, you expand your capacity for growth and open the door to new possibilities. This process requires deliberate attention. Habits do not disappear automatically. They are reinforced by repetition. Identities do not dissolve on their own. They are strengthened by self-perception and behavior. Releasing them requires observation, recognition, and intentional replacement. You notice the triggers that maintain old patterns and consciously interrupt them. You create new habits that align with your goals and reinforce a more empowering identity. Small, repeated actions compound into lasting change. Letting go also demands self-compassion. You cannot force transformation through criticism or shame. Punishing yourself for past behaviors only strengthens the old identity and perpetuates guilt. True change comes from acknowledgement, acceptance, and intentional action. You recognize that the habits and beliefs you are leaving behind were once necessary, honor their role, and then consciously choose a different path. Compassion reduces resistance, allowing growth to flow more naturally. Another crucial aspect is consistency. Letting go is not a one-time decision, it is a daily practice. Every day presents opportunities to return to old habits or reinforce new ones. Each choice you make either strengthens the past or builds the future. Transformation is the cumulative result of countless small decisions to act in alignment with your vision, even when old patterns tempt you to revert. Over time, the new habits and identities become your default and the old ones fade into memory. Letting go also allows for freedom and creativity. When you cling to outdated habits and identities, you limit your options. Your mind and energy are tied up in maintaining patterns that no longer serve you. Releasing them creates mental and emotional space for innovation, exploration, and higher-level thinking. It allows you to redefine what is possible for yourself, unhindered by past limitations. Ultimately, real change is not possible without shedding the habits and identities that no longer support you. Change begins internally before it manifests externally. Habits and identities are the operating system of your life. Updating that system requires intention, courage, and persistence. By consciously letting go, you create space for behaviors, beliefs, and attitudes that reflect the person you are becoming, not the person you once were. Letting go is the gateway to transformation. It is not about erasing the past. It is about reclaiming your power to shape the future. Every habit released, every limiting identity questioned, and every fear faced brings you closer to a stronger, wiser, and more capable version of yourself. Real change begins the moment you commit to release the old and embrace the potential of what you can become. Discipline and consistency lay the foundation for a stronger future self because transformation is not born from bursts of effort or fleeting motivation. It is built through repeated, intentional actions over time. Many people dream of change, improvement, or success, but they underestimate the power of SDE. 80. Daily commitment. Discipline is the engine that drives progress, and consistency is the rhythm that ensures the engine keeps running even when enthusiasm fades or circumstances challenge you. Together, they create a framework for lasting growth. Discipline is about choice. It is the ability to act in alignment with your long-term goals, regardless of temporary feelings, discomfort, or distraction. Motivation comes and goes. Discipline remains. On days when you feel energized and inspired, action is easy, but real transformation is forged on the days when you feel tired, uncertain, or discouraged. Discipline ensures that you show up even when you do not feel like it. It trains you to rely not on mood, but on commitment. Consistency amplifies discipline by turning effort into habit. A single disciplined action may create temporary progress, but repeated disciplined actions compound over time, creating results that feel inevitable. Consistency removes randomness from growth. It converts intention into structure, ensuring that progress does not depend on fleeting energy or external validation. Over weeks, months, and years, consistent behavior transforms your abilities, mindset, and identity, forming the foundation of the stronger version of yourself you are building. Together, discipline and consistency shape identity. When you repeatedly make the choice to follow through, you reinforce self-trust. Every completed task, every promise kept to yourself, and every disciplined decision strengthens confidence. You begin to identify as a person who takes action, who follows through, and who can be relied upon. This identity becomes self-sustaining, creating momentum where progress feels natural rather than forced. Discipline also structures focus. In a world full of distractions, lack of focus is one of the biggest barriers to growth. Discipline allows you to prioritize what truly matters and say no to what does not serve your vision. Consistency ensures that this focus is maintained over time. You build routines, systems, and habits that remove the need for constant decision-making and willpower. The result is a streamlined, intentional life where energy is directed toward the things that contribute to your stronger future self. Challenges and setbacks are inevitable, but discipline and consistency make them surmountable. When motivation fails, these qualities keep you moving forward. They transform obstacles into opportunities to reinforce habits, learn lessons, and strengthen resilience. Every time you maintain discipline in the face of difficulty, you build a mental and emotional foundation that cannot be shaken by temporary circumstances. This resilience compounds alongside skill and experience, creating a future self capable of thriving under pressure. Discipline and consistency also accelerate learning. Skills are developed through repeated practice. Knowledge without application is powerless, and talent without routine is wasted. By consistently applying yourself, you create feedback loops that refine your abilities, correct mistakes, and enhance performance. Over time, the cumulative effect of disciplined practice and consistent action positions you far ahead of those who rely solely on sporadic effort or motivation. Moreover, these qualities instill patience. Transformation is rarely immediate. Goals, skills, and personal growth require sustained effort before results become visible. Discipline keeps you on track during periods of slow progress, and consistency ensures that effort does not waver. This combination fosters long-term thinking, helping you prioritize sustainable success over quick fixes or instant gratification. Finally, discipline and consistency cultivate a sense of empowerment. When you take full responsibility for your actions and commit to showing up every day, you realize that your future is in your hands. You no longer wait for conditions to be perfect, for external validation, or for bursts of inspiration. You become the architect of your own life. Every day of disciplined, consistent effort strengthens the foundation of your future self, making it more capable, resilient, and aligned with your potential. In essence, discipline and consistency are not just tools, they are the structural pillars upon which transformation stands. They turn intention into reality, chaos into order, and dreams into tangible outcomes. By committing to these principles, you create a version of yourself that is stronger, more capable, and ready to thrive, no matter what challenges life presents. Every action taken with discipline and repeated with consistency is another brick in the foundation of your future self, and over time, that foundation becomes unshakable.